And Joe, wow, Republicans were really avoiding things yesterday, except for one, but most of them were just like tippy toe around something that is so obviously abominable.
Well, you know, I said yesterday that the Republicans had a choice. They could choose loyalty to their country or they could choose loyalty to Donald Trump. And sadly, most of those Republicans chose loyalty to Donald Trump. And some of the things that were said, and we'll get to it in a minute, but by Mitch McConnell were just absolutely would be extraordinary. But Mitch McConnell has proved long ago he's so cynical that what most of us consider, what most conservatives have long considered to be in the best interest of the country is not something that concerns Mitch McConnell at all. And, you know, there was also this remarkable attempt by Republicans to lie again about Hillary Clinton, saying, well, yes, Donald Trump said he might get information from the Iranians or the Chinese or the Russians or from foreign governments to try to influence democracy. But Hillary Clinton did it, too. That's just obviously a lie. I expect, unfortunately, too many Republicans on the Capitol Hill to spread those lies. But some friends of mine that I follow on Twitter were doing the same thing yesterday. I think, Mika, they probably were just ill-informed. And that's why we're here. Let's give them the facts right now.
Okay. After President Trump declared that he is open to receiving information from foreign countries against his opponents in the 2020 election, and that he would only maybe let the FBI know about it, Democratic Senator Mark Warner attempted to pass a bill that makes it illegal for campaigns not to report offers of foreign assistance to the FBI. But that bill failed to pass by unanimous consent yesterday when Republican Senator Marsha Blackburn rose to object, claiming that the proposal would be too much of a burden on campaigns.
These reporting requirements are overbroad. Any person who shares their views with a candidate would be reportable. Campaigns could have to report social media responses or interactions. You would report every non-U.S. citizen or dreamer who volunteers for their campaign or knocks on doors or even knocks on the door of a foreign national.
I would point out that her reading of my legislation is not accurate. The only thing that would have to be reported is if an agent of a foreign government or a foreign national offered something that was already prohibited. And candidly, if and I will take my colleague at her word, if there are ways to improve on this legislation, I'm wide open for business.
Wow. But Senate Republicans have so far chosen not to work on the issue. Majority Leader Mitch McConnell has blocked bipartisan election security legislation passed through the House in March, a position he reaffirmed last night.
I'm open to considering legislation, but it has to be directed in a way that doesn't undermine state and local control of elections. The Democrats, Laura, would like to nationalize everything. They want the federal government to take over broad swaths of the election process because they think that would somehow benefit them.
John Heilemann, how rich that Mitch McConnell is saying that Democrats want to take over broad swaths of elections when all we're doing is trying to stop Russians. All we're doing, those of us in the media that are asking for this, those on Capitol Hill that are asking for this, are just trying to stop Vladimir Putin, or China, or Iran, or Turkey, or any of our other adversaries at times. We're trying to stop them. But isn't it fascinating? The circle is has been completed now.
Yes.
And here we end up with Mitch McConnell sending Marsha Blackburn on the floor for what we should call the Vladimir Putin relief block. This is the same Mitch McConnell who in 2016 actually was warned about Russian interference about Vladimir Putin's interference in American democracy. That's what all of Donald Trump's intel people would say a year and a half later, that yes, they interfered with American democracy. While this was happening in 2016, it was who? Mitch McConnell, who said, no, you can't go out and say that, or else I'm going to attack you as being partisan. And so here we are, Mitch McConnell still doing Vladimir Putin's work.
Joe, unlike you, I'm not even a simple country lawyer. I'm not a lawyer of no kind.
There you go.
But I listened to Mark Warner yesterday, and I believe he said,
good guy.
I believe, well, good or let's just make it a straightforward point.
Yeah.
There's a law that exists. The law says that foreigners can't give things of value to American campaigns. The Warner bill would further take that law, an existing piece of law, and say, if a foreigner violates a law that's already on the books, the American campaign that is witnessing that violation of the law must now report it. That's what the Warner bill said. And yet, you know, that part of American election law is already nationalized. That's a federal law. It exists already. Presumably, Mitch McConnell is not against that law, the underlying law. So it's illogical and totally off point to be talking about somehow further nationalizing election law. This is just basically adding a reporting requirement to an existing federal law that no one is arguing should be struck down,
right?
Which makes the question, what's Mitch McConnell's actual game here? And I think what it is that everyone is looking at Donald Trump's behavior and saying, if Donald Trump is still arguing that it's okay to accept stuff from foreign nationals, it's first of all because his campaign tried to do it in 2016, and that there's a pretty high likelihood that his campaign is going to try to do it again, and is in fact inviting it again in 2020. And so to toughen these laws would be to create a legal trap for the president, who apparently is signaling to all of us and every foreign adversary that he's totally open for business on violating that law again.
So Willie Geist, let's just clearly state where things are right now. You had a law that could have been passed yesterday that would have required candidates to report any illegal acts. Not somebody, Marsha Blackburn was wrong, not somebody working on your campaign, not somebody tweeting at you.
Right.
Would require a candidate or a campaign to report any illegal actions to the FBI. And Mitch McConnell and Marsha Blackburn and the Republican Party of Donald Trump opposed that. Let that sink in for a while.
Yeah, you had others in the House, too. Kevin McCarthy saying, what the president said wasn't so bad. I don't know why this is so difficult. You used the word sad earlier. It is sad for the country that these Republicans, in this case and others, can't put the country over their fealty to Donald Trump, but they continue to do it. And here's Leader McConnell shrugging off the president's comments, expressing openness to foreign help in the 2020 election. Here's part of what the president said first to ABC News, followed by McConnell talking with Fox News last night.
Your campaign this time around, if foreigners, if Russia, if China, if someone else offers you information on an opponent, should they accept it or should they call the FBI?
I think maybe you do both. I think you might want to listen.
Do you want that kind of interference in our elections?
It's not an interference. They have information. I think I'd take it.
Do you have a problem with that answer? Because the Democrats seem to be taking that and saying, aha, see, we told you so. Now it's on to impeachment.
They just can't let it go, Laura. You know, I said weeks ago, case closed. We got the Mueller report, the only objective evaluation that will be conducted. Nobody has any confidence that the Democratic House is going to engage in any kind of appropriate oversight. The case is closed. Why don't we move on?
Do you think the president made a mistake in the way he answered that question when he said, maybe I would, maybe I wouldn't? You know, I'd hear him out. Would you answer that question that way?
Well, he gets picked at every day over every different aspect of it. But the fundamental point is they're trying to keep the 2016 election alive and the investigation alive when the American people have heard enough.
No, actually, that's not what anyone's talking about right now.
That's just such a lie.
Joe, that's
such a lie. Willie, he's such a liar. I mean, I'm sorry. He's just lying through his teeth.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. If Mitch McConnell were approached by the Chinese with dirt on his opponent in 2020, he would call the FBI. He would call the FBI. Yep. Every other liar on Capitol Hill that's claiming that what Donald Trump did was okay would call the FBI. They would all call the FBI. And Mitch McConnell wouldn't even answer that question because we know what the answer was to it. And him saying the president gets picked on too much and, quote, case closed? How sad. I mean, listen, he's got to live with himself, and he's going to have to live with himself into retirement. I hope he enjoys his legacy because this is it. This and Merrick Garland, that's his legacy. Hope he's happy with it.
And Donnie, the question is not about case closed, not about the 2016 election. George Stephanopoulos asked Donald Trump in the Oval Office, what about the next time? Have you learned anything from the experience of the 2016 election and the Mueller investigation? And he said, no, I'm wide open. I think I would take it. So we're not talking about the last election. We're talking about the next one.
Obviously, the thing when you watch the tape with Stephanopoulos is how authentic Trump is.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a question. Well, wouldn't anybody? No. I mean, that's the the one thing about Donald. He just continually shows himself, but it was kind of like
very mob bossy.
Yeah, well, of course. And you know, Mitch McConnell. Now that Republicans are becoming the non-democracy party, this is the same guy in the same party that would not vote for $250 million to make our voting machines safer. Think about it. With all the money in our government, $250 million, to just say, let's safeguard our voting machines. No, thank you. We don't want that bill. And, you know, Joe, you've talked a lot. You were talking about McConnell's retirement, and it's interesting. We opened the show with Sarah Sanders leaving and Kellyanne Conway hopefully soon leaving. Don't any of these people understand that there is life after Trump and that this is a moment in time?
This ends badly.
And do they not understand the toxicity and the cancer that stays with them after every single one of them? You don't have to be the most potent Democratic strategist to understand that they will carry this legacy the rest of their lives.
You know, they're going to have trouble getting jobs in Washington, D.C. for the rest of their lives, especially these people that have been out lying without shame. But, you know, I wanted to, it's very interesting. You were talking about how Donald Trump is doing this all in plain view. And I just, as somebody that has known him for a while, I want to have a quick discussion with you and get your thoughts on it. Because, you know, Miko was saying when he did that, she said, oh, he's, you know, this guy is so bad. And other people say, he's so evil, he's so evil. I said, well, yes, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying. But wasn't a truly evil guy have answered the question to Lester Holt? No, that's not why. Wouldn't a truly evil guy say to George Stephanopoulos, of course I would report it. I would report it instantly. In fact, do you know what? I've hired 3 lawyers, and they're going to be scanning throughout the entire government. We're going to have the toughest task force on foreign interference ever, while he's actually calling China and calling Russia, say, hey, you got anything? You got anything?
No,
that's the thing about Donald Trump. Now, let Donnie answer, because I know you're going to say Donald Trump's evil. That's the thing about Donald Trump. It's all in plain view. And I know people are saying there's a 3-dimensional chess deal and Donald's just trying to do that. No. Come on. Stop. This is a guy that just blurts out whatever is in the front of his head at the time.
He's a bad dude, but to your point, Joe, it's interesting. It's almost childlike, whereas you take the cookie. Did you take the cookie before? No, I didn't take the cookie. Where he just genuinely doesn't think it's wrong. That's how demented he is, whatever word we want to attach to him, that in front of the entire world, well, why wouldn't I? Wouldn't everyone? So you could almost say, is he evil, or is there just no moral compass?
All right.
There's not even a compass there to even look at.
I want to take myself out of a box here. I never said he's evil, and my reaction is, oh, he's evil. My reaction to what happened the other night when he said that to George Stephanopoulos was, this is horrendous for our democracy. He is a national security threat. And what he does is not stupidity. What he does is not evil playing out before our eyes. What he does is he manipulates the truth. He desensitizes the American public and the world to what is right and wrong, and does things in plain sight. And the results are evil. What happens in a dictatorship, what happens when evil forces step in, is this: slowly chipping away at our values, slowly chipping away at our democracy. And that whether he knows it or not, whether he's planning it or not, whether he gives a damn or not. That's what's happening.
Well, just to clarify,
That's what I
Mika, the lawyer that I am, I did not say that you said he was evil. I said
I'm telling you what's
upset.
happening.
I said others said he was evil. I hear what you're saying. I have a little different opinion about this Gene Robinson. I could be wrong. I've been accused of being overly optimistic many times before. And of course, as you know, I'm wrong every day. But in this case, I think this is a temporary phase. I think these Republicans have already paid a horrific price. In fact, I will say this. I was talking to Mika, and we were talking about, they were showing clips of the Helsinki summit. And I said, look at the date on that. Helsinki what? Helsinki 2018. You know what happened in 2018? It's the biggest electoral rout ever in a midterm election. Democrats over Republicans. I think he pays the price. I think people around him pay the price. But I think, again, for me at this point, I've discounted Donald Trump's constitutional attacks into it. Right now, I'm focused on the Republican Party and how shamelessly and how cravenly they continue to allow these constitutional breaches or these breaches of constitutional political norms to continue. They are the ones who will be paying the price long after Donald Trump is golfing in Mar-a-Lago.
Well, I certainly hope so, because what Republicans have done is sell their soul to Donald Trump. They have abandoned all their values. They have done a total 360 on positions that they held for decades. You are right that anybody, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, any of them running a campaign, if they were approached by, a Chinese agent or something like that with during a campaign, of course they would call the FBI, and of course they know that that's what any candidate ought to do, and they won't say it because they're all in with Donald Trump. It is Donald Trump's party now. It is the Trumpist party, period. I do want to note that what President Trump outrageously said he would do in the next election, he actually did do in the last election. And I don't think we should forget that he actually did it. He actually did welcome and encourage help from a foreign power to help him win an election. So I'm not terribly surprised. I guess I'm surprised that he'll say it out loud. I'm certainly not surprised that he would do it.
All right, we're going to sneak in a quick break. We need to get Jake Sherman into the conversation, get his reporting on the Republicans' latest "What About Hillary" take and Nancy Pelosi's takedown of the president. Also, a pair of presidential candidates and Congressman Tim Ryan of Ohio, New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio join us. Plus, we'll talk to the chairwoman of the Federal Election Commission, who was stunned yesterday to have to remind the country that you can't accept foreign interference in American elections. Ellen Weintraub joins us ahead. And as we go to break, one moment from Julian Castro's Fox News town hall last night where he reflected on the president's conduct.
The Mueller report laid out 10 different instances where the president either obstructed justice or tried to obstruct justice. And yesterday was one more example of why that's the case. I think, a few years from now, whether it's 10 years from now, 20 years from now, we're going to look back on this as Americans, not Republicans or Democrats or liberals or conservatives, and say, what in the hell was wrong with that president?
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.